what is a creepy, unexplained childhood experience that you had?
When I was a kid, my family and I lived in a house in Texas. It was a 2-story house and my parents were putting my little sister to sleep in her crib. Then they went on downstairs and I continued to play with my toys at the top of the staircase. For some random reason, I decided to look at the bottom of the staircase and I saw my sister crawling around on the ground. So I thought to myself, I wonder how she got down there. Then I remembered, my parents had just put her in the crib about 5 minutes ago. So while I stare at her, I realize that she's a little pale and she has huge black eyes, but otherwise she looks just like my sister. So naturally, I start screaming and my parents come running. I'm hysterical and my parents are asking me what's wrong. I point and I say, look, there's Sneha, she's at the bottom of the staircase. She was gone. Around my 18th birthday, my family and I took a trip to India. We were visiting my grandma and one night she decided to oil and braid my hair and my sister's hair. So as my grandma was braiding my sister's hair, she looked over at my mom and she said, Ritu, Sneha's twin would have been a girl. I look at my mom and I say, what twin? And my mom looks at me and says, Swasti, I never told you this, but I miscarried Sneha's twin.
Here should have been our first red flag. This was in the back of the house when we were touring the house. It's a fence made of these disgusting doors. That was the first creepy vibes, but we kind of overlooked that because this is a really big, nice house that we got for an amazing deal during like peak COVID when the market was crazy. The basement, I would never go in here. I hated being down here. Use this for storage, and if we had to put anything down here, we would literally just like stand at the top of the stairs and throw it down. Here's how it was staged for us. So I would sit like right here because this was where our couch was, and behind me I would hear clicking sounds. Actually, the clicking sounds would come from this wall right here where I am at. This main living room is also the room where the handprint was. We tried scrubbing this handprint out, it didn't come out. And yeah, these are the original hardwood floors, so who knows whose handprint that is. Another picture of the hand. This is the room that's like attached to the family room where I was just talking about, and this is the room where I would see like orbs a lot, and my dog would like growl into that room and wouldn't walk across the floor there. I had people over a few times at that table exactly, and my cousin like swore out of the corner of her eyes like she could see stuff like zooming around. I think our ghost really liked that room, and then the hallway upstairs, and then the attic. Example of us trying to get our dog to walk across the hardwood floors. She would not do it, and when she did, it was after lots of begging her to come, and this is how she looked. That dog does not look happy. My dog would randomly growl at our chandelier in the living room, and she would also like go to the front room because we had a rug up there and like just sniff around, and I'll show you the videos of that. What's wrong? Why are we growling at it? What the could you be crying about now? What could you be crying about? Here's the kitchen, and that's actually the clock that I was talking about where like the hands would drop all the time. This is also the exact same countertop that the glass slid across by itself. Here's kind of an example of the layout. So here's the front set of stairs right here. This is the wall that I heard the clicking, the back set of stairs right here, and then this is the basement area. And then this actual like doorway right here can close. There's like a full door attached that can close that door. One of the bedrooms. It's another door leading upstairs. Bedroom 2 with a closet. Going downstairs again. Bedroom 3 with the closet here. This is the backyard to the creepy doors. Then there's the bathroom here. Double vanity. Love that. I think this one will probably end up being the master. Let's go upstairs. So there's the little pocket door right there. This is cute. This will probably be the in-law suite on top, overlooking the outside. I love this. And a little walk-in closet. And then the bathroom. I don't know if this is a coincidence or just a bad omen, but right after we moved out of that house and into our new apartment, the same month I got a stalker.
Because let me tell y'all this too. People do not have to go and light a candle to do anything to you. People do not have to write your name down and put you in no jar or bury you in no hole, wipe their ass and flush you down no toilet. People don't have to do that to you. The worst type of witchcraft that can be done to you is when you do wrong to an innocent person and they cry and they cry and they cry and they drop tears, because when them tears roll down their face and land and touch that floor, it is an actual libation to their ancestors and their spirit guides and their spirit court. That's why you hear people say that you will pay for every tear that you make somebody cry, because they're crying out a libation. You don't understand that their ancestors will come and knock your whole fucking head off. You would think that a bitch put some witchcraft on you. A bitch done put their mouth on you. They literal mouth. Crying tears. Your ass will pay. Anyway, let's get back.
A story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
Okay, excuse how I look, but I'm gonna try to be super quick when I tell this story. So this happened to me about a month ago, and I'm laying in my bed. I had just had the strangest dream in the world. And I woke up from my dream because, you know, it was scary, like something was chasing me or whatever. And I went in the bathroom, and then I just woke up out of fear. And I just sat there, and I was just looking at my bedroom wall. The way my bed is set up, so like if you walk in my room and you look to the right, my bed is on the far left wall. And when I was sleeping, my back was turned to the door, so I couldn't see, like, you know, anything. So I'm just chilling, right? And I'm laying there. Mind you, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I hear the loudest footsteps running through our house. Like, our house, like, we have, like, real hardwood floors. So you can hear when somebody's, like, walking through the house. Like, you can hear that. But somebody was in there running, and they was running fast, girl. They wasn't stopping. But they did end up stopping, and they stopped at my room door. And I'm just laying in my room, and I'm looking at my wall like, what? It just ran through the house and stopped at my door for some reason. Like, what was that? And then I hear my bedroom door open. I know what my door sounds like. Like, if you have, like, a newer house, you know how, you know, like, if you open and close your door, like, it makes, like, a clicking noise or whatever. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But I heard my door open, and I'm just laying there, like, in fear. Like, I've never felt so scared before in my life. Like, I'm so serious. And I'm just laying there, and I feel something behind me. Like, y'all, it was like the darkest presence I've ever felt. Like, it felt not human, okay? Whatever was standing behind me was not a person. I thought it was, but it wasn't. The longer I sat there and realized that it was not a person. So I'm laying there, and I usually have the covers up to my neck, but this night I did not. I was slacking a little bit, and my neck was exposed. It was this side of my neck right here. It was exposed, and I felt something touch my neck. Like, it was so sharp. It touched my neck. Like, y'all, I literally thought something like, think of the sharpest object you can and imagine it poking you in your neck. Like boop, like that. Or like it happened fast but slow at the same time. Like, it was like that. So I jump out of my bed. Excuse me. I turn around. Nobody's there, of course. And my bedroom door is closed. It was never open. It never got opened. So I jump up and I go to the door and I open the door, because at first I thought it was my brother, because I know he comes in there sometimes and, like, you know, snooping around and stuff, trying to find my phone charger, this, that, and the third. I know he does that a lot. So I thought that was him. So I walk across the hall, because my bedroom and his bedroom are adjacent from each other. So I walk across the hall. This man's asleep. Sound asleep. Mind you, he has a bunk bed. So he got to climb up the ladder to get in the bunk bed. And he would have been up there by now. Like, he would have still been climbing the ladder. Like, by the time I made it to the door, open my door, he would have still been climbing the ladder. and I would have heard his bed because the bed's kind of squeaky. So I'm like, what the heck just ran in here and touched me? What was that? So y'all, I went in my room and I sat on my bed and I cried, and I put on scriptures. I started looking up Google scriptures, reading the Bible, praying, everything, on my knees, listening to sermons, playing gospel music. Girl, I was not playing. I said, whatever it is, whatever you are not welcome. Please get away from me right now. I don't play those type of games. I don't. Also, I'm gonna mention, when this happened, I was on my I done fell off a little bit, not gonna lie, but I was on my journey with having a relationship with Jesus Christ, and y'all, I think something was in there, and they were trying to get me. I don't play like that. And then I had called my boyfriend because I was scared, but yeah, y'all, and I didn't go to bed till like an hour or two later, and I was still scared when I went to bed. So I had my little sermons playing, scriptures playing in the background on my TV. Everything was playing, girl. I don't play them games, but that's my little ghost story.
About the weirdest dream you've had that you don't actually think was a dream at all.
So I once had a character in a dream tell me that I would, if I didn't find a way to wake up. And that's not even the crazy part. So I had this routine with my mom where 5 days a week, every time she'd go to work, she would come home at 12 for her lunch break, and we would hang out. We would eat together. We'd watch like a judge show, like Judge Judy or something. We'd hang out, and then she'd go back to work. So this one day I decided to take a nap, and I'm like, I'm not going to set an alarm because she'll be home like in an hour or something like that, and she'll wake me up. Normal day. So I go to sleep. I realize that I'm asleep because I'm in an airport and I'm with a group of people, and like we're going on a trip somewhere. I don't usually travel with people. I always travel alone. So I think that's what kind of like set it off in my brain, that I was like, oh, I'm sleeping, so I'm just gonna vibe, right? So I started to notice a pattern of extremely highly stressful situations happening back to back to back, and I wasn't really giving it that energy. So we're running through the airport. We missed the flight, which normally would freak me out. Didn't. I decided to go with it. I'm like, hey, let's rent a car. I'm just going with it. So we can't find the car rental place, and then I end up getting separated, and being in large crowds by myself is already a highly stressful situation in a highly stressful environment already. So normally this would have sent me into a panic in real life, but I was just going with it. So I'm going down this escalator, that's what it's called, escalator, and I look down and I realize that the bottom of the escalator is just disintegrating. It's just falling apart. Everything's falling down into just darkness. So there was no other situation being created. It was just darkness, and there's a blur of people, the same way that it would be in an airport, with just people just coming and going and coming and going. And I notice one guy off a side who's looking at me, and he's completely still. He's dressed in all black. He stands out from everybody else. So I see him see me, and I'm like, shit. So I'm just trying to like sing songs to myself to wake myself up. And if you're familiar with my content, if you've seen any of my lucid dreaming videos, I kind of tell people how to do it in a safe way or not to do it, things like that. So if you've seen any of those videos, then you know I'll sing a song over and over and over until I wake up, because your brain has no choice but to kind of wake you up. But that wasn't working. So he looks over at me and he's like, if you don't find a way out of here, you're stuck. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? He's like, if you here, you're gonna be stuck here too, so you better find a way to wake yourself up. So I'm like, I'm not really tripping because my mom's gonna be home soon. She's gonna wake me up. So if I can't wake myself up, she's gonna wake me up. And he's like, no, she's not coming home today, so you better figure it out. And he comes off as like really concerned, but like, I can't help you, you better figure it out. So I'm freaking out. I'm singing the song over and over. I'm not waking up. I'm crying and screaming until I was screaming, help me, until like I just held on to that like help, and I woke up gasping for air because I stopped breathing, and I'm crying and I'm freaking out. Now this could have been my brain trying to find a way to wake me up, my anxiety manifesting, or something in the fact that I normally would have woken up in that stressful situation, but since I knew that I was dreaming, I didn't wake myself up. However, I checked my phone, and sure enough, there's a message from my mom that I got after I'd fallen asleep telling me that she wasn't coming home because she was working through her lunch break. So I completely believe that if I wasn't able to wake myself up, that I would have. I just always felt like it was deeper than just a regular dream, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yo, man, this thing right here gonna mess y'all head up, bro. All since I heard this, my head been jacked up, man. So we gonna all sharing the feeling, man. This guy, it's a recording. He finna tell y'all how this lady went from this to this. And these pictures was taken at the same day, less than 24 hours apart.
So she was one of the first black women to be a cop. And all through the hood, man, we just, everybody knew her growing up, and we just never thought that, she would decide to, go that route. Real smart girl, I'm talking about real smart, real intelligent. Always can figure stuff out, whatever came out of which she solved it, help you with it. She knew how to work on cars, she knew how to, do little stuff around the house, she knew how to cook, clean, like just knew everything. But now all her women's in her family, they was all, maids, did work around the houses of rich white peoples and stuff like that. But now, she said she didn't want to go that route. She wanted to be a cop. She wanted to have some power. She wanted to stand for something. And not that, not that being a maid or something, it's just, you don't stand for nothing, but just in her mind, you young, you want to make a change, you want to be, so that's the way she felt. So she went out there and got that job, and it was good for her, she even got some little respect around the office. Now, I heard she had to bust a couple of them good old boys' heads, but eventually they learned to respect her. But now one night, she was out in a car with her partner. Now all of a sudden, they get a call. Now her partner, he responded to it, he driving, she in the passenger seat. So down there get there, it's an old warehouse. An old warehouse abandoned. And supposedly there's some screams or something like that coming up out the warehouse. So they get there and they stand around and, they look around. And her partner ain't really want to go in. But this lady here, she wasn't scared of nothing. I guess growing up in the ghetto just, make it a little tougher than the average. But this is sad ending to this story. And this is what she looked like after they found her this night.
Tell me, what's the creepiest experience you ever had in your life and why you still think about that moment?
I think I had to be about 21. And this is when I used to stay in Atlanta. And man, it was one rainy night. It had to be about 38 degrees and it was real rainy. It was real wet. And earlier that day, I had sold a car, one of my personal cars. I think I sold it for like maybe $2,500, $3,000. And I had that money in my pocket the whole day. I was supposed to take it to the bank, but I just didn't get around to it. So so remind you, this gas station, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was on the West End in Atlanta, on that end. And this gas station is set off the road. Like, but keep that in mind, it's set back off the road, like a good distance. So it's raining 1 o'clock in the morning. It's rainy. It's wet. It's cold. So I need to get some gas. So I got some gas, man. And out of nowhere, this guy rolled up on me. Like, it's a homeless guy. And it threw me off, all the way off, because number one, I didn't hear him. I didn't see him come up. Like, it was no way. It's like it was a Grand Theft Auto cheat code. He just kind of dropped right there out of nowhere. So that kind of threw me off. So he come up to me. He said, "Man, it's cold, man. It's cold." And I'm like, you got to be mindful of people that just kind of walk up to you and claim they're homeless. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting here kind of like, okay, And I feel bad for him. I don't too often feel bad about a lot of homeless people. I don't, I sympathize, but you don't help everybody, all of them out. So the guy was like, "It's cold, man. It's cold." When I looked down at his pants, he didn't have any drawers on because his pants was held up by a shoestring, so it was still hanging down. And his shoelaces, he didn't have any shoelaces, of course, because they was in his pants. So he took his feet out. He took his feet out of his shoes and he stepped on the ground and it was wet. So I'm like, damn, his feet, he gotta be cold. You know what I'm saying? So he gotta be cold. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, he don't have a t-shirt on. He got a bubble coat with no shirt underneath. So he was like, man, I just really want something warm to drink. I need something warm to drink. And in my mind, I'm kind of like, nah, bro, you're going to need more than something warm to drink. Like, you freezing out here. So after I pumped my gas, I said, man, walk with me into the inside of the gas station. Luckily, it was open. Most gas stations not even open at this time. So I told the guy, I said, man, you got change for $100? Because remember, I sold a car, so I got nothing but $100 bills in my pocket. So he was like, oh, you got to buy something. So I'm like, damn. Okay, well, so in the gas station, you know how they have socks, T-shirts, and all the stuff like that. So I said, I can get him this, like, so he can have some stuff, for the days moving forward. So I got him some hot chocolate, like, and we walked back to my car. And he said, man, I really appreciate it, man. You're going to get blessed for this. And, I wasn't worried about the blessing, man. Some people generally just need some help. So I just thought about in my trunk. Okay, there we go. I'm back. So yeah, we walked to my car. We walked back to my car. He's like, man, God gonna bless you, man. God gonna bless you. So I'm like, I wasn't doing it because of that. Some people, like I said, genuinely needed some help. So I get in the car and I realize I got a lot of shoes, jackets, hats, and a bag because I was ready to go to Plato's Closet. Plato's Closet, they give you money because I was going to go to Lennox the next day with that money and just ball out. Like I was ready to really just go shopping with that money that I had. So I had those clothes sitting. So I asked him what size did he wear. He happened to wear a 10 and he was about my size. So I gave him the whole bag, all the stuff in it, So I gave it to him. He just like, oh man, he putting on his socks, things of that sort. So I looked. So I said, you know what? I got something else. I think I had some more money sitting in the armrest. So I dig in the armrest and I turn around. He was gone. Threw me off. Like, remember, I'm not high. I'm not drunk. I'm not high. I'm not drunk. I'm really just sitting here looking like, what is really going on? Like, and I looked down and I looked at his footprint. It was still on the ground. Now, remind you, this gas station set back off the road. So I don't give a damn how fast you are. You could not have got to any street or around that gas station without me seeing that. And it threw me off because my money was gone. Because I did give him $100, before I gave him $100. My money was gone, my clothes was gone, and the footstep was on the floor. So that probably had to be the creepiest thing that I probably ever experienced. Yeah.
Excuse me, 3 little pigs, where y'all going? What? 3 little pigs, where y'all going?
Girl, you don't get your
hey, look, you need to stop because I'm talking to you. Listen.
Don't play me, little girl. You don't know me.
Ain't nobody playing with you. Listen. Keep your water out my face. Look.
Don't touch me. You don't know me. So
okay, I'm looking for directions. Can you help me?
But you ain't say that when you came up.
Okay, I'm looking for McDonald's.
But you ain't say that.
I'm saying it now.
But you ain't say that though. You ain't say that when you.
Okay, listen.
I'm saying though. What you call us though? Because I sound like you trying to be funny. Because I'll rip the skin off your ass, girl. You don't know me. Don't.
Okay, but I'm funny. You don't know who I am.
I'm funny too, and I could be funnier. Don't
play
with me, girl.
Okay, listen. You trying to get? Is you trying to get?
You trying to get? Stop playing with me, bitch. I ain't in no mood. I'm already irritated. Stop playing with me,
listen.
girl.
Is you trying to get? Wait, it's a video. Oh shit, it's a video. Calm down.
You don't know me, fast.
Banana, where you going?
Banana.
Yeah, banana. You got on yellow. Who's on that phone? Who's on that phone?
My people. What's up?
Okay, I don't like people on the phone over here. You need to hang up.
Girl, who is you? What you on?
What you bagging up for?
What you want to do?
What you mean? What I want to do? Is you trying to get?
You know me?
I don't gotta know you. Is you trying to get?
What you talking about doing?
What's up? What you talking about? You want to do? What's up? Wait. It's a video. It's a video.
In the late fall of 1952, 20 school children ranging from 8 to 13 years old, were on their way back from an evening field trip to the Smoot Theater, but their bus driver, Miss Bernadette Shaw, took a wrong turn on the way home. In her attempt to find a shortcut back to their school in Clarksburg, where dozens of parents were waiting for her to return, Miss Shaw ended up on the deserted back roads of West Virginia with a bus full of sleepy children. Using the moonlight to guide her, Miss Shaw turned onto a shabby road that barely saw any activity. The road twisted so tightly around hairpin curves that it was far too narrow for her to turn the bus around and head back to the main road. She had no choice but to keep going. She'd been driving aimlessly for hours and was so distracted trying to find a way back that she didn't realize the gas gauge was well below E. Almost immediately, the engine started to cough and sputter as it gasped for fuel. The bus came to a rolling stop on top of a set of abandoned railroad tracks. As she turned around to tell the children not to panic, they were already fast asleep, exhausted from the day's journey. It was well past their bedtimes, and the dark, deserted route offered little more than trees in the way of scenery. She had two choices. She could wake the children and have them walk with her to the nearest gas station, or she could leave them on the bus while she walked by herself. There would likely be an attendant at the gas station whom she hoped could give her a ride back to the bus. If so, she would only be gone for 30 minutes, an hour at the most, and she only had one flashlight, which wasn't nearly bright enough to lead 20 children on a winding, miles-long hike in the dark. So she decided that the children would be safer on the bus. There was no telling what type of debris could be lying on the road, and if a group of kids decided to wander off along the path, she wouldn't be able to see them sneak away. It was best if she just went by herself. Grabbing the metal flashlight from under the driver's seat, she stepped onto the weary, rotting tracks, locked the bus door behind her, and began to walk. She picked up her pace, almost to a jog, hoping that she could get back before any of the children woke up. 10 minutes went by, and she knew she had to be getting closer to town. The crisp night air was so silent that she could have heard a person coming from miles away. But it wasn't a person that startled her. Quickly, she looked behind her. The railroad crossing, where the bus sat lifelessly, was perched upon a plateau stretching as far as she could see. At first, the approaching light was just a speck on the horizon, but as it grew bigger, the persistent sounds of a chugging engine made her drop the flashlight and take off running back to the bus. Chug, 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 echoed through the still air. The closer the train got, the faster she ran. Her heart pounded as it jumped into her throat. She screamed for the train to stop, but her cries were overpowered by the haunting, hollow whistle of the locomotive. Her knees ached as her feet hit the ground harder with each step. She shouted, "Stop! Please stop!" Her arms flailed in the dark night, her eyes soiled with tears. "Stop!" she cried. "God, no! Please stop!" No longer lost in peaceful slumber, the children's tiny silhouettes could be seen banging on the windows of the bus, trying frantically to get out. The train's brakes tightened around its wheels, sparks dancing alongside them. The children continued to pound on the glass as they screamed for help. "Stop!" Miss Shaw cried again, but her tear-soaked plea was no match for the sickening sound of metal colliding with metal. The train crashed into the bus, splitting it in two like a pencil cracked in half. Shrapnel-like shards flew through the air, piercing the ground as they landed. The front half of the bus rolled onto its side, then onto its top, then on its other side. It swayed back and forth as the thud of metal hitting pavement echoed in the air all around. Miss Shaw fell to her knees when she saw the children's bodies hurled from the vehicle. The windows of the bus had shattered, and the children's limbs had been ripped off by the sheer force of the train's blow. Blood began to splatter onto the broken windows, as if someone had started a blender and forgot to put the lid on. As the train continued to blaze by, Miss Shaw could see the other half of the school bus between the gaps of each car as they passed. The back half of the bus was flat on its side, its steel walls frayed open like the mouth of a jagged abyss. The children's bodies were heaped into a tangled mess over the bus's green padded seats, which were now drenched in pools of blood. She let out a gut-wrenching scream and quickly got to her feet. She ran to the front of the bus and began picking up the miscellaneous limbs strewn about the tracks. Carrying a pair of mismatched arms, she approached the beat-up torso of a third-grade boy and placed one on top of him, not really knowing whether it was his. Miss Shaw, so engrossed in her task of trying to return the limbs to their rightful owners, didn't notice that the train had finally stopped. She shrieked when she saw the conductor walk up behind her. His body, white with shock, trembled as he surveyed the scene. I tried, he mumbled to Miss Shaw. I tried to stop, he repeated as he cupped his hand over his mouth, trying to contain the bile brewing in the back of his throat. Oh, God. Why? He wept at the sight of the shredded children. Why were you on the tracks? Before Miss Shaw could respond, her grief-stricken eyes rolled back into her head, and her legs gave out. The conductor caught her as she fell against him, and he dragged her body to the nearby grass. When she finally came to, police had arrived on the scene. She slowly sat up and looked toward the bus, its two halves separated by 50 feet of blood-stained roadway. She was taken to a nearby hospital and, at the behest of the heartbroken parents, was arrested on the spot for involuntary manslaughter. Decades went by before anyone in town would drive up that road again. In the late fall of 1977, 2 lust-fueled teenagers in Harrisville, West Virginia, decided to find a secluded spot to spend the evening. It was close to midnight, and the young man parked his Thunderbird near the entrance of North Bend State Park, leaving the engine running as he and his date succumbed to their desires. Without warning, the car slowly started moving backwards, but the couple, so engrossed in their activities, didn't realize it right away. When they took a momentary recess, the young man glanced out the window and noticed that they were mysteriously stopped on top of a set of old railroad tracks. The young woman shrieked when she heard a whistle in the distance, but the boy couldn't get the car into gear. They desperately tried to open the doors, but the locks were stuck. They pounded against the windows as the rapidly approaching train blared its horn. The rumbling of the train on the tracks vibrated through the vehicle. The glass rumbled as the couple continued banging on the window. As they scrambled to find a way out, the couple felt the car inch forward. The young man looked around, but didn't see anything by the car except the oncoming train. The car crept another inch forward, and then another inch. It rolled forward until the train zoomed past the car, missing its back bumper by less than a foot. The force of the speeding train rocked the car back and forth. The car's axle creaked with each sway. When the train finally disappeared into the horizon, the young man, shocked and shaken, was able to get the car into gear and drove his date back to town. The next day, the boy took his car to a mechanic to check the transmission. The car was covered in dust from traveling down the deserted road the night before. The boy told the mechanic about the car inexplicably going into reverse, and the mechanic remarked that the same thing had happened to several Ford cars recently. The boy then confessed to the mechanic that he'd been stuck on the abandoned railroad tracks near North Bend State Park, and as the train was approaching, he had experienced an odd sensation that the car might have been pushed off the tracks from behind. As the boy continued to tell the story, the mechanic's eyes filled with tears. My son died on those tracks 25 years ago, the mechanic said. He was in a school bus that was left on the tracks by the driver. And as the mechanic walked to the back of the boy's car, both his feet and heart stopped when he saw dozens of child-sized handprints covering the edge of the car's trunk. The Last Train to Clarksburg by Michelle Hansen.
Darkest moments in TV history.
It's March 6, 1995, and taping is underway for a new episode of The Jenny Jones Show. The segment features 6 guests, each with a secret admirer whose identity would be revealed for the first time during the show. Among the group, 24-year-old Jonathan Schmitz stood out as the most intriguing participant. Like the others, someone had harbored a crush on Jonathan, but had never confessed it. Until now. The twist? Jonathan's admirer was a man named Scott Amador, a mutual friend.
Which of these ways would you choose to reveal your secret crush on someone? A, would you write that person a letter? B, would you tell the person in private in case he rejects you? Or C, would you tell that person that you're gay and you hope he is on national television?
Despite their friendship, Scott had never shared his feelings, knowing Jonathan was straight and had never indicated otherwise. The stage was set for a shocking reveal, and the audience buzzed with anticipation.
I want you now to meet Donna and Scott. Now, Donna has been helping Scott pursue his secret crush on John. John's backstage. He can't hear us. How bad's the crush? Tell me about the first time you met him. Where was he?
Basically, well, he was under a car, working on her brake line.
Yeah. And that was your first time? What was your first impression?
Well, I only saw the lower half of him, so you can imagine.
You think? Okay, you think about you have fantasies about him?
I thought about it, tying him up to my hammock.
And?
Well, it entails like whipped cream and champagne, stuff like that.
Now, John, he knows you're gay, right?
Yeah.
Do you know that he is?
No. Anything's possible.
Host Jenny Jones began by interviewing Scott and a mutual friend, digging into how the crush began. She pushed Scott to share increasingly personal details, amping up the drama for entertainment value. Scott's candid responses didn't disappoint, adding to the intensity of the moment.
What is it that's so exciting about him to you?
He's got a cute little hard body. You know, one you just want to pick up and put in your curio cabinet, you know, dust him off once in a while.
You want to physically pick him up?
Oh, he's just a tiny little cute thing. He's gorgeous.
Well, all right, let's see if he really is. Get the headphones off of John, and let's have John come out here and see who has the crush on him. Here's John. Did you think Donna had the crush on you?
Did I? No, we're good friends.
Well, guess what? It's Scott that has the crush on you.
You lied to me.
The pivotal reveal arrived, with Jones dramatically announcing Scott as Jonathan's admirer. Jonathan's reaction was one of visible shock, but Jones wasn't done. She instructed the producers to replay a segment where Scott described his fantasies about Jonathan in detail, hoping to elicit an even stronger response.
Before we talk, take a look at it. We'll show a little playback of what Scott said about you, John. Take a look at that monitor
right
down
here?
there.
Well, it entails like whipped cream and champagne, stuff like that.
Scott was pretty open about he's been fantasizing about you since he saw you under that car for the first time. He had an under-the-car fantasy and he had a hammock fantasy he's been telling us about. Did you have any idea that he liked you this much?
No, I did not.
Can you tell us what your status is? Are you involved with anybody, or?
No, but I am definitely heterosexual, I guess you could say.
The segment concluded with Jonathan reaffirming that he was straight, effectively dashing Scott's hopes. Though he remained composed on set, Jonathan left the show feeling humiliated and deeply unsettled. The knowledge that the episode would soon air weighed heavily on him, compounded by Scott's continued advances. Just 3 days later, Scott left a note on Jonathan's door that read, "If you want to turn this off, you'll need a special tool." For Jonathan, this was the breaking point. Enraged and humiliated, he purchased a shotgun, drove to Scott's home, broke in, and fired 2 fatal shots at point-blank range. After fleeing the scene, Jonathan called the police and confessed, citing the public humiliation from the show and Scott's persistence as his motivation. Arrested and sentenced to 22 years in prison, Jonathan was released in 2017.